Oh, yeah.
Bless and love, my lord. Welcome to our first show right after Paris. We are super excited. Today we have a live interview with another OG punk, a super good friend of Red Lion, KoroMonjya. How's it going? I hope I pronounced that well.
Yeah, I pronounce it KoroMonjya, but I'll take anything. I'm super happy to be here with all of you, and it is an honor to be in this group. It's really fantastic. I'm really happy. You guys do some brilliant things, and you really are at the forefront of everything that is getting the word of NFTs and everything that's going on in the space out there. I think it's awesome. So I'm really psyched. Thanks for reaching out. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, man. And Dudley, welcome also, our
Yeah,
co-host.
it's Tuesday. I've got that hangover a little bit because it's always hectic. So yeah,
Yeah, I
but
fell asleep, man, last night. I couldn't stay up, and
yeah, I guess.
I'm still recovering. But what an absolute joy to have you, man. And you have been supporting us from the background, and we've never chat before. And it's coming back from Paris. I'm still emotional. I met so many punks, so it's so nice to chat with you now. And hopefully, I get to meet you soon in an exhibition or a conference or somewhere on the globe.
Oh, absolutely. And definitely plan to be at one of the next big ones. Paris was a little bit tough just in terms of making the logistics work this time. But, trust me, it's I feel conspicuous by my absence sometimes. So, I really want to make sure that that I'm able to meet all of you also, because again, it's it's a space, of course, where just by the nature of it, you don't always know who the people are, but it is so welcoming and wonderful and instructive to actually be able to put faces to names and to have sit downs with people. It really does make a difference.
Oh my God, it changed my perspective, it's definitely incredible. Why don't we start from the beginning then and talk to us a little bit about yourself and if you don't mind sharing your punk story with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got into the space really. I'm honored that you called me an OG, but I was brought into the space really by a true OG metis nomadic, who you all know very well, also who's been a big supporter of Redline for a long time, and we've known each other for quite a while. And I
Superstar, Mr. Metas
superstar, he
Nomadic is
is.
like an
He is.
exceptional gentleman.
He is indeed, and as you probably have already noticed, and he would point out, it can be a challenge to get me to stop talking. And he said to me one day, "Look, I want to talk to you. I want you to listen. I don't want you to talk for an hour. I want to explain some things to you." And he really laid down some of the things that have really brought him into the space and things that he found interesting and future proof and cool and exciting about obviously just broader cryptos and blockchains, but specifically the NFT space. And I had not really been somebody who felt that it was a space that I needed to explore, and I had this kind of incredible realization, epiphany, moment of clarity, catharsis, whatever you want to call it, where I realized that to believe in something and to not believe in something are really the same acts of faith. You really need faith in belief and faith in non-belief. And I realized at that moment, I didn't have faith in non-belief in the technologies and in the NFT space. And that made me to start really considering what was going on and to take a look at it. And as soon as I sort of lost that faith that I was right about everything, I realized that there's a whole world of things that I find fascinating and interesting. And my background educationally is fundamentally is literature and art and history and film. And, despite the fact that that wasn't what I was doing as a career, these are the things that I was most passionate about. And that art aspect and that element of engagement and provenance and community and perfection of ownership really enticed me and excited me. And I got to be honest, I just thought the art was super cool. Now, ironically, with the punks piece, I quoted once as saying that I didn't like the art. Now that is obviously, these are very early days. You don't know what's going on, and of course I do love the art. But that's sort of what brought me to the NFT space. The punk piece was in some ways.
Oh, don't feel bad about it. I was saying on the Punks cast, like when I saw the Punks the first time, I was like, also, bro, like I'm into NFTs, but I don't get it. Like I don't really get it. I mean, like I get it. Okay, they're cool, nice pixelated characters, but I don't get what is all the fuss about. Like, and then I started, like as everything, it started to become sticky, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I get it now, and I love it even more. The art means so much more.
Oh, completely. I think it's a little bit like when you start out cooking something and you see a recipe that some great chef cooks on TV, and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do my own little bits and pieces of it. You don't realize that until you know the rules, you can't break the rules. And the thing with punks, they're just completely elegant in their simplicity. And it was the point at which I realized that I was looking at something that was an act of pure creation for creation's sake, that I realized that this was something that I just had to have. And I knew exactly when it was. It was on Easter weekend a few years ago.
You felt the grassroots movement to your bones, right?
That's right. I realized there was something there that I had not been seeing, and I was finally seeing. And from a journey perspective, I love right away the dogs of Yuga from the BAKC, and then of course you realize, wow, okay, if I have a dog, I really have to figure out a way to get an ape, and you do that. But then all those things, they weren't punks, and I found myself increasingly diving into this world of frankly endless derivative. Anything that was a punk derivative, frankly, let's get something like this. Even that original Sig coin. I have to have some Sig coin, because all those things, they're tangentially related to punks that just made me so excited about eventually doing it. I did in the end through some pretty lucky. Well, I mean, I think a lot of us had a bit of luck in some of those pretty heady days of 2021 in terms of what was going on in the NFT space, particularly in that late summer of being able to put some ETH aside, and then eventually my first punk, January 22nd, 2022, was when I acquired that first punk, which was
January 22nd, 2022. You said
January 22nd, 2022.
Oh, that's more than a year ago now.
Yeah.
What was your entry price?
You know what? I had it up here. It was 60 something. I'm going to look it up because 64 ETH.
Oh, very nice. Around the same floor 64. That it is now.
Yeah. And I was drawn to those clown eye blue punks almost right from the start. Those were the ones, for some reason, that just really seemed to resonate. It's funny.
You also rock the legendary mohawk on the top,
and the legendary mohawk, which is just such a legendary look. And I was using that particular punk as my PFP for a year until on February 23rd of this year, I acquired another blue-eyed punk with the handlebar stash, which I've recently switched, which you now see as my PFP. And I think that for the punks piece, there's a real difference to the punks themselves, but also to the punk community than really anything else that exists in the space. And I think it's really hard to put a finger on it. There's something. This is going to sound. There's something old world about it a little bit. There's something that very much feels like it's from, I don't know, a different iteration of the Matrix or something. It's just a little bit different.
Yeah, man. Like Spot and Pike just put the founders list together with all the punks, and it puts things into perspective. You don't see CryptoPunks centralized creation. There is no like team that is making something for the punks as like you guys doing for for the apes. It's all like decentralized um, leaders and innovators and founders and creative individuals, like taking their own path and creating something very unique, everybody in their own right. And when you look at it in one image like that, puts it all into perspective that this is so excellent and this is so intricate and complex, and this is the real value. It's not like the next little drop or the next reward or something. And that is something that is hard. It's not something that can be done in a year, or people aren't easily inspired to represent a movement and create on their own something else. Usually they represent themselves. So representing themselves through that and their creation, it's something really, really unique. And you can tell it's the exclusive club, and it's not like it's closed. All you need to do is have a punk to join. Of course, it's a lot of money, but like, looking at who is in there, it's only going to be more and more desirable to get in, right?
Yeah, you said something really beautiful there that it really resonates. Where that idea of not necessarily seeking out to create some of those things, that in some ways they weren't looking to build what is there, but that's in some ways what makes it so special, right? And it's funny when I would pour through the Larva Labs website, and I'm sure everyone's done this also, but they have that that car game that just goes forever that you can play on your mobile phone, and you realize
That was so cool. I think
so
about it a lot of times,
oh my God.
because
I still play it. I still play it. It's one of those things where you, you can almost imagine them sitting down and saying, "Could we make a game that never stops? It doesn't matter how long you play it; it'll just exist forever." And you realize that, and to your point about a movement, sometimes the things that make a movement, or maybe often the things that make a movement, are not designed to make a movement, right? They're they're created again because of experimentation and because of a desire to set new boundaries or to break existing ones. And punks are just a perfect example. But the other thing about them that I continue to circle back to, that I think is just completely brilliant, is that marketplace, which I still think is just the best thing out there. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was like such a foresight to create a secondary marketplace for specifically for that. Zero royalties, zero commission, nothing. It's a beautiful thing. And we are also, when we are talking to make our own little secondary for our stuff, we say, oh, let's take a page from that book and create something like that. So it can serve as an example. I mean, if you put the work and make a little secondary for your product, you guarantee the longevity of your project, and people can use your own infrastructure to trade without fees securely. And if they want to trade third party, there can be more fees from this platform or whatever craziness they do. But when people hold your stuff and you have your own secondary, it's like a level above everybody else, I think. So it is definitely a good move. And even if projects are not looking to be like the next, secondary market, why not have like a secondary for your own project? Or let's see how that will evolve as an idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, I love the things that you guys have been doing, and in particular, there are a number of occasions where I've read something on Redline and have instantly scoured the, the entire world to find out where I can access it. And I think of, in particular, reading about the worm on Redline and instantly thinking, I have to have a copy of the worm.
The community is so cool, man. I love these guys so
genius.
much. It's so fun.
Genius.
Yeah.
It's genius. And the stuff that they do is just it's great. Again, it really is entirely original. There's nothing else that's like it. And I would never have known about it had I not seen it in what you guys are putting out to the community. and it's not just that you put it out; it's the way that you describe it and the engagement that comes from the writing. And I think that you guys are you're doing fantastic work. You're really the only people who are holding the community to account, but also providing the news, but also providing some color. And I mean, the covers are just they're works of art. I mean, those are brilliant. I had for a long time on a panel up on my wall the London Fork cover, which I just thought was absolutely perfect. I mean, just
that was
just a true
that is
perfection.
one of your biggest ones, eh?
Perfection.
No, my
Absolute
favorite.
perfection.
Yeah, one of my favorite too. The London Fork.
Yeah, Bankless loved that one too. They, what was his name? Sasano. He showed it on his show also. It was a huge week for us. We were so proud.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are great. You guys really need to pat yourselves on the back and really make sure that you carry the confidence.
Thank you.
through, because
We
it's
appreciate
fantastic
it,
stuff.
but we are here to talk about you now.
Sure.
So, after hearing your story, how you got your punk, and we chat punks, let's talk a little bit about KoroMonjya. Who are you? What do you like to do? Where are you from? If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things I can share. I'm originally from Canada, but I haven't lived there in a long time. I've
I love
been
Canada.
well, it's a nice place to visit.
The best crypto artists come from Canada.
Well, there's that. You know, I think that one of the luxuries that you do have as a Canadian is you can kind of travel around, and I've had the luxury of working in a couple of different places around the world. I worked in Canada for a while. My career was in traditional finance, seduced by that mistress for quite a while, and
golden boy, yeah.
well, worked in Toronto, worked in London,
Toronto,
worked in
London,
Asia. Yeah. No, for a number of years, and I've had the luxury of working in a number of different cities, and I like to travel. I'm an avid reader. I like to write, and you know, one of the things that Metis Nomadic and I have been working on quite a bit for the last little while is in our Art Gazette Converging Currents, which you can all reach at convergingcurrents.art. It's fledgling, but we have a couple of articles on there. We're working on our first commission, curating a digital gallery, and so there's a few interesting things that we've been doing. That's been taking up quite a bit of time recently, but it's something that I love doing. And like I said at the outset, my background is really in literature, and I love to write. I love to read. And one of the cool things about this community is because of this intersection of all these different, I mean, mediums, of course, but different people involved in different mediums, whether they be artists or whether they be people who work in the money side of things, or lawyers or accountants or coders, or really any variety. Well, they're all attracted to the space for different reasons, and you get a fantastic engagement across really a whole bunch of different backgrounds. And I love that. And I love hearing what people have to say in these communities about these pieces and about what's going on in the space. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I in my younger days as any Canadian, I played quite a bit of ice hockey, but that's maybe a bit of the past. But in terms of the things that I do like to spend my time doing, I really am increasingly getting excited about the things that are going on in this space. I know that the crypto winter bit hit people quite hard, and a lot of the bankruptcies that have happened, particularly things like FTX, seem bad.
Was it quite hard though? Was it quite hard though? I don't know. Felt like a very mild bear market. If that was it, and if we are going up, I don't know.
It's a good question.
The previous one felt more brutal, right?
Yeah, and that's just it, right? There's a lot of recency bias that is attached to some of these things too, right? We remember this one as being really bad because it was the most recent one. But I think
but
that
now there's community,
a lot
there's
of good
people,
things for the space.
coming. There's people spending their whole days here every day, no matter what the market is up or down, and that wasn't the case in the previous years, I think. I don't know. In my opinion, we should be seeing milder and milder bear markets, and start moving and normalizing towards a more sustainable uptrend. There's a lot of people that professionally pursue careers in crypto now, so it's a good industry to be involved in.
Absolutely, and people in all walks of life are becoming more familiar with just the general ideas around tokenization and how valuable that's going to be for a lot of things, just for making payments globally or for real estate contracts, things that live outside of some of the creative space. There's a lot of real world applications in this space that have only recently begun to be explored. And in terms of the creative outlets, as you guys well know, as everyone on the space will know, of course, I mean, the really cool thing about this is that it's not limited by anything other than creativity. You can really get code to do anything. So you're not bound by the way that materials function, or frankly, even physics, which is pretty fucking cool. And so I think that there's a lot that remains to be explored, and it really just is going to take, again, people who have that creative spark, who can come in and do something entirely new. And the technology piece affords that. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is really brilliant about the space. And again, just even looking at one of those punks, if I think about Claude Shannon and information theory and how efficiently can you generate signal without noise, 24-bit by 24-bit pixelated picture is a pretty good example of all signal, no noise. I just think this stuff is really interesting and really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Dis, I see your request. We will open the floor in a little bit, shortly after the interview, and we will have a chat. So keep your request up. I will accept it in a little bit, just FYI. Small parenthesis. Thanks everyone for listening. Big shout out, Masna, Ti, Metas Nomadic, Nico, Sadir, Jikan, all legends, Cruz. Thank you guys for joining our chat today. Okay, what is converging currents?
Well, it's an art gazette, which we aim to use as a platform to basically talk about the way that the real world interacts with the digital world, to try to bring some engagement in digital art for people who are not familiar with it, and to, help educate, I suppose. But that's pretty expansive in terms of an idea, but really to generate some content in the space that we think is going to have some value really across a number of different disciplines. It is in some ways, frankly, it's a passion project. It's a way for us to be able to talk about the things that we want to talk about. It's a way for us to, again, bring content that is, look, I wrote an article about Miami Vice, so, functionally it isn't always going to be about, specifically NFTs or about the digital world in and of itself. But what we really try to do is to look for engagements that have crossover, things that we find exciting. And it's a space that we're using to engage other parts of the way that we want to generate some creative outlet. For example, the curation that we're doing right now for a digital gallery, for a very prestigious private club, which is going to put up a permanent digital art installation, which we think is really brilliant. Of course, punks are going to be heavily featured in that space. And, the idea of converging currents itself, and frankly, we wrote a manifesto because we wanted to make sure that there were some thematic considerations to which we were sticking. But the idea of converging currents is really in some ways it's enmeshed in the title, where we're looking for those places of cultural ferment where we think that we want to provide some commentary and some content. Over time, we'd also like it to be a marketplace, where creatives can can distribute their work. And, we also will be looking to do some of our own minting of NFTs along the way. And it really is something that we anticipate to be a platform to push our engagement in the digital world to try to reach additional people. I mean, in some ways, look, we've taken a lot of inspiration from what you have done in terms of being able to provide really specific and interesting commentary on things that you love, and not necessarily worry at all about what the things are that the market has necessarily got its laser focus on. So
we are learning.
Really,
we are learning.
Absolutely. No, but I mean, so are we. So are we. And we really want to make sure that that we are able to put the right level of passion and engagement into this project, because we do think it's a space that that has a lot of room, but also is something that we want to make sure that we get our ideas across. For us, we really want to focus on things that are crafted.
I have to say, really, man, like I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't check your project before this interview. I started, digging in a little bit, doing my research, and I see what you guys have done here, and I really, really love it. It's usually when I see people using the word gazette, I'm like, let's see what these guys are doing. If it's good or
yes,
not.
Of course.
But now that I see you guys use it here, I'm so happy that you guys are also doing something similar, and using the word gazette. It's a nice combination. It's a nice brother project. I love it. And
absolutely.
Basically, it's very similar to us. I see you two co-founders, Metas Nomadic and KoroMonjya, so a big beard like myself, and so two punks starting an educational project. So I really like it, man. It's like me and Dudley. Dudley says we are still in the garage, but I don't think so.
You're definitely not still in the garage. Like I said, it's been inspirational to what we're doing here, and we think that there's space for a lot of these projects to be accretive to the community, and that's I think what we're hoping to be here. Like there's going to be, I hope, the ability for a lot more people to bring more gazettes, right? Like that's what we want, right? We want more engagement. We want more people who feel like they have something to say it, and so that's
the
like
long
I said, we
bet.
take a lot of inspiration from you guys.
That's the long bet on the space in general for people like yourself and other creative teams that take a more serious approach. It is the long bet is to create something sustainable of quality that can be created and recreated sustainably with great quality, as opposed to having something ephemeral that will have a hype cycle and then it served its purpose. However, the incentives aren't necessarily as aligned for
really
that, right?
What this is all about. It's making sure that the things that are of interest are spoken to, and that you find a way to give voice to those things that you want to make sure are heard. Right? It's an amazing platform for that. Right? So.
I have said it many times, and the people who were with me in Paris also heard me repeat that. But I think that the NFT space is currently, in an immaturity phase, exactly identical to YouTube was like in 2007-8, where only fart videos and pranks got like attention, and there was no good content there, or like quality content wouldn't get any attention. But now it's quite the opposite, I should say. So yeah, if we are taking that as an early paradigm of like a creative digital industry, then it makes sense to be doing good quality work that actually has a place, and not just the I don't know, animal drop that has a little spin for.
Yeah. Look, I think that's right on. And one of the things that we're really focused on is that idea of craft. And the word that we use, the Japanese word of the shokunin, that's something that we really aspire to in terms of trying to get better at the craft every day. And that search for perfection that you'll never achieve because it's not achievable, but you try every day to get a little bit closer. And that's something that as a construct for the way that we try to build the engagement that we have, I think it's pretty fun to try, right? And to your point, ideally create something that's a little bit lasting, and that as long as you like it, right? I mean, other people will hopefully like it too, but you have to make sure that you like it also.
It's a beautiful thing. We have to make some sort of organization about Web3 media educational projects that we are, on the same lane, and we have the same views, and empower each other, because there's a lot of I've met a lot of wonderful people, and people who are building wonderful stuff, and we need to somehow stay connected. Like that, I was reading about that little lion organization that every lion agency is part of, something similar to that. That would be cool. It doesn't have to be lion.
Yeah, well, it could be anything,
but yeah.
But I think that you're right on, and maybe the next thing at the next show or the next big conference, have a panel for people who are on that side of the space.
Yeah, because it's so hard. Right? It's so hard to punch up. Like everybody who has a project and wants to collaborate with another project, it's really hard to punch up. But if we have our band here, we can even hit conferences and share bigger show spaces and stuff. We can do really, really cool stuff. There's definitely a lot of energy that can be super beneficial. Definitely worth thinking about. I'm spending some time thinking about it, how it could look, and have something cool without any politics involved. Nice, right?
Well, you know what? That's the other thing that we're pretty clear on, is that I mean, ultimately we actually say it in the site, but currentism itself is not political. We're not apolitical, obviously, as people, but the point of this is not to be political, right? The point of it is to be creative and supporting creation, right? And being socially responsible, right? So these are kind of the things that are really important. Again, I love the way that, and as I mentioned, we took quite a bit of inspiration from what you have done, but I do love the way that there's just such a huge cross section of things that come across in the spaces that you put out, which I think is super cool.
Thank you. Thank you, man. What other stuff do you like to collect? What other stuff do you buy? What NFTs would you like to own? Talk to us a little bit about your wallet.
Yeah, sure. So, from the larva spectrum, I love Meatbits also. I think they're just super cool. There's really something about those creations I just love.
They're fun.
They're completely amazing. Again, I kind of lump those into that, sifting through that Larva Labs website with that crazy game, and then with the Meatbits. There's something really interesting about the way that those look, and I really do quite love those. I've been pretty keen on, over time, some of the derivatives of the punks, but you know what I really, lately in particular, that I'm really looking to explore a little bit. I really like the stuff that Punkscapes have done. I really like the stuff that Dutch Tide did with Midnight Breeze. I really like the way that there's sort of that creation of space that is separate from, say, digital real estate, but like that idea of trying to create spaces in the digital realm. I'm pretty fascinated by that. I don't have a now.
That
but I think
side not
that
only
project is
creates
really interesting.
spaces, but also sensations when you look at those
Absolutely,
spaces, right?
completely.
Yeah,
So
it makes you
I really
feel
love
you are
those.
there.
And what I love about that is you don't know where there is, but you kind of feel like you are there.
Yeah,
right? There's really
waking up at
ephemeral.
3-4 o'clock and there's a lot of wind outside, and neon lights, that eerie, weird, surreal feeling,
Yeah,
I don't know, I get
yeah.
that a lot from his
A
work.
sense of
It's beautiful.
place, but in a place that doesn't exist, which I think is really interesting. And so I really do quite like that. There's some of the art, so the sort of more art pieces. Ayla Musa is, I think, an artist that's really interesting, doing some very cool things. I, I maybe because I like the Shiba dog so much, but I sort of anything with a Shiba in it, I'll kind of look at it, and I really do love these recreations of Bruegel the Elder works with Shiba heads on them. I just find them thoroughly amusing and enticing. I do like that kind of thing. I've become maybe a little bit more unsure about some of the IRL tie-ins. I mean, I really think that Artifact, that Clone X project, is really cool. I do like the Adidas tie-in with Bored Apes. I just don't know to what extent they'll be able to push what they're doing on the NFT side as much as what they'll probably try to push on the IRL side. So I guess that remains to be seen. I think Fluffs is a really cool project. I really loved when those hit and they had the music and you could bring some of the tracks in. I think that's really cool. I'm pretty excited for what that team is doing. I'm always sort of attracted to the things that I think look exciting or beautiful. But then, there's a lot of things that I have in my wallet that I look at and I'm like, well, I don't quite know why I bought that.
we all have that for sure. I can relate to that, man. Like the new part of the stream that we already launched one stream, but the second one I'm launching, the second type of show will be wallet review, and I will be starting. Yeah, I will be starting with my own wallet. I'm gonna roast myself first.
Yes, there we go.
All the way.
You turn the lens on yourself. Okay.
And then I will move to other wallets.
I love it.
That's gonna be
with
fun.
The person's consent or without the person's, or a bit of both.
I mean, it's like it's open, right? Like you can view everything, how much they bought it.
Of course.
I mean, I will try not to be evil. I will just try to make like some harmless fun, poke some fun. But yeah, I mean, like we all have those purchases, right?
We do, and I am quite interested in some of the, some of the more, I mean, maybe well known is unfair, but certainly well enough known IRL artists who are branching out into the digital space. And so I'm really keen on what Damien Hirst did with the currency. I think that's a really, really interesting, really cool project. And I really like the Daniel Arsham, the sort of eroding, sense of structural impertinence and imperfection and impermanence that exist in some of his disintegrating cars that drive around and that kind of thing. So
for me there is no difference. It's just like until they accept that now they can also like sell digitally. And yeah, it will take a few years, and then I don't know the traditional market, how it's going to shift, change, adapt. But yeah, you can trade art and have your art with you 24/7. I see it more practical and this speaking to more people than getting a Sotheby's account and a Freeport account then to store it in some airport somewhere. I don't know
that no one ever sees.
Yes, it's weird stuff, man.
It is very weird.
But yeah, I think this is better.
I agree, and I think that some of the creative freedom that's afforded to these creators and these artists is something that they're going to only embrace increasingly, because it's it's a challenge, I think, for a lot of artists. If you're an artist and you grow up learning painting, you're going to paint. If you grew up doing sculpture, you're going to sculpt. In the digital space, you're really not limited by that which you are best at, right? You can really engage different parts of your imagination from a creative perspective, even if it's not something that you traditionally had a lot of experience with, because you can experiment, you can iterate. There's a different level of, it's not really control. It's more just that there's a different ability to attempt. And I think that that's something that is really going to open a lot of people's eyes to some of the possibilities that exist in the space.
Yeah, the first people who jumped in, they also made a lot of money, and it really matters, man. Like the more people I talk to, I was always like, yeah, okay, like who cares about like the $69 million sale? It doesn't, it doesn't register with people. It just sounds like, someone made $69 million for selling his art. Like this whole becomes news every now and then, but okay, this time was digital. I didn't think it would hit so hard with people, but the more people I talked to, they were like, yeah, I saw this, and I was like, what the fuck, I need to get in. I was like, what? For me, for example, it's like if my neighbor makes 5K, this is more attractive to me than if I read somewhere someone made like 20 million, So I would think that this was
Sure.
what, enticed people, that, people could make a decent living out of it. But no, it was the big sales that matter. And those guys that came in early hit it big. And yeah, it inspired a lot of people. So yeah, even though I didn't agree with it, I think it's very important now after I saw the effect.
Yeah, and it creates headlines in places that people who are not in the space are going to be reading, right? So when the New York Times or the Financial Times, or name whatever big newspaper you like, runs a story about a big art gallery selling very expensive digital art, it brings people into the space. And it's the kind of thing that is important for, to your point, some of the maturity of the space. Because if you have, and I would encourage everybody, if you haven't read it, that the write up on, I think it's the Sotheby's website, about selling the alien punk with the mask, is just a beautiful write up about CryptoPunks. And so you have a space, and that we you can sort of, you can take it seriously, I suppose, or less seriously. But people in the art world, they do take themselves pretty seriously. So when they turn to put their lens on the NFT side, they're they're doing it, I think, with an air of critical study that I think is really helpful for the space, right? So to your point, exactly, if you sell something for $50 million, it's going to attract people to go, hold on a second, we need to take a much closer look at this. So when I talk about my own journey in terms of not having faith that I was right, that this doesn't matter, or that I don't need to look at it, that's kind of what's happening, I think, for a lot of people, right? When you see, again, a piece of art that sells for $69 million, people go, well, hold on a second, am I the idiot in the room here? And that's there's value there too, right?
Yeah, and well, the artists are always like looking for the next innovative way to create art, and I think it's just a natural progression in the end of the day, right? Artists have been into the crypto space like from the very, very start, trying to do things and experimenting and always pushing boundaries. So it's inevitable in my mind. Let's open up the floor if anybody wants to
Sure.
join. If you guys have any questions to chat about, I think was it Shroomlord on Punk's chat that was wanted to chat about the chair. Um, I'm not sure, but yeah, if you guys have anything to ask, please, or chat, please feel free to jump in. Let me see. Mhm. Okay, yeah, I will open up the mic if anybody has a question. So, what are you looking forward now in 2023? Is there something that you have your attention set to?
In terms of particular NFTs, I suppose like many people, one day I'd love to have an autoglyph land in my wallet, but I think that's probably pretty unlikely. But what I do think is,
Don't talk to me about that.
I know
I could own one, man. Oh my god, that hurts. Yeah,
it's kind of the
I
holy
could
grail, and
own one. It was like I was like 6 ETH, maybe it drops. What a fucking idiot I was. And then it's
hindsight's always
20
20/20.
ETH, and then the final autoglyph at 20 ETH, and I had 20 ETH at the time, and I'm like, maybe I put an offer for 17 ETH. I don't know, and then it sold. Friend of mine bought
Wow.
it, and that hurt even more.
Well,
He was like, Red, I just bought the final autoglyph for 20. I'm like, yes,
well, at least you can
sir.
look at it whenever you want.
Yeah.
I think that kind of generative art, which is starting to inspire a lot of people, a lot farther down the value chain, I think is really interesting. And I've been to a couple of digital shows in the last little while where you can plainly see that kind of pure math is something that I think has its place alongside a lot of the other pieces, and I really I like that direction because it really is, I think, something that can be explored in, I mean, I don't know, an unlimited number of ways essentially. So I'm pretty keen on how that space is going to grow. I also really would like to see, and if I was going to point to one thing on the wish list for 2023, and it's something again that Metis and I are working on with a particular club here, but I would just like to see a lot more digital galleries being opened, and that a lot more people are able to very easily put their NFTs either on loan into these essentially IRL galleries, or that they're able to get additional exposure to people who don't necessarily know how to navigate crypto wallets, or who don't feel comfortable doing it, but that also puts them into a bit of a different space and opens them up to different kinds of criticism. And that I hope really that a lot more people are able to take a critical look at what's going on in the space, again, particularly from an art side, which is why, anytime I get the chance, I'm always happy to talk to people about, what I think, for example, to go back to where we opened up, what's so impressive and what's so interesting and what's so important about punks. And so I think that the more people you have that conversation with, and the more people who we were able to transition that journey from, yeah, really, it's like 24 by 24 pixels, to, oh my God, I get it, and the penny drops. And I think that that's something that I do look forward to. And I really want to see more physical spaces that are being devoted to this, because, otherwise, what I think is a concern a little bit is if you have a lot of, say, news, television programs or traditional media who focus on, early metaverse engagements. Well, it's not that impressive. It's not this. It's not that. I thought it was going to look like Ready Player One. It looks like Roblox. It's like they're kind of missing the point. But then once you take the NFT spirit out of that environment and you put it again into, say, a gallery, it winds up being a different thing, right? Because people can appreciate that even though these works are digital, that many of them, and you're so right about Midnight Breeze and Dutch Tide, they're very tactile, right? They do have a life of their own, many of them, particularly the really good ones, and they do have immersive qualities that you want to see up close on a big screen. And I think that there's a place for the digital space to make some intrusions into the IRL space. So I'm kind of hoping that we see a lot more of that this year.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And seeing NFT Factory live in Paris, it was super inspiring for me. It was a beautiful thing to see, and yeah, I told Dudley, oh, we need to open our own little gallery now that we
Yeah.
saw this.
You already
with a
rent place,
yeah,
but
with a bar.
Yeah, exactly.
it's a coffee shop. It will be also like a slash coffee shop. Yeah.
That's perfect, right?
No,
That's perfect.
yeah, exactly. I will be smoking weed inside, but we will not be advertising that.
Like
But that opportunity. But again, what that is that's an opportunity for promulgation, for display, for conversation, for criticism,
Yeah,
for having
exactly.
more people that get exposed to the space, right? So that's
No,
perfect.
after seeing it, I was so inspired. I'm like, man, that's a beautiful idea, and they put it in like the heart of Paris. That's insane. That's amazing. So I was like, yeah, we should do something like that. Maybe not on this scale, but this is beautiful. If we are able to do something like that, it's going to be very inspiring and can be very involving a lot of people. It will make life better, I think.
I agree, and
Yeah.
to do it in Paris is great, right? Because that's that traditional
Oh, we are
seat
thinking about
of
Barcelona.
oh yeah, but I mean in general, but that you saw it in Paris, that
Yeah.
traditional art market world kind of lives there, right? So it's perfect that you have that as a crack. But Barcelona would be a great spot.
Oh,
For it,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It's an insane city to put art. Paris is
Yeah.
very centered around arts and culture. Um, I don't know if you have any final remarks, anything last to say before we close, man. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too. And yeah, a couple things. First is thank you very much for reaching out. It's an honor to speak with you guys and to have the opportunity to tell a little bit of the story of KoroMonjya and what we're doing in Converging Currents. But also really thank everybody who took the time to listen. I know that everyone's time is really valuable, and it's an honor to be able to share the space with all of you. I really love what I recognize a lot of the names on this space. I love what you're doing in the space. You guys are all builders, you're creators, you're all pushing the envelope. It's super exciting to share the space with you all. Redline in particular, as I said, we've taken quite a bit of inspiration from you. I love your work. Keep doing it. I'm happy to be a supporter. I think what you guys do is just absolutely brilliant. And it's great. I mean, I'm happy to come back anytime you'll have me, and would love for for all of you to check out what we're doing at convergingcurrents.art. Please criticize. Please let us know what you want to see, what you want to talk about. Let's grow the space together. And I really do. I suppose my final thought, if I do have one wish, it is to meet all of you actually IRL at the next big thing. So,
Yes,
so thanks very much.
Special love, man. Special love. Thank you so much. And for sure, we will be writing a nice article now. Steven is on it about convergent currents and talking about it. And for sure, we will meet. And we are also having on stage Metas Nomadic here, whom I have been trying to have on the show for such a long time. What a pleasure, sir. Nice to meet you.
I'm working on something to close at the moment. I'm just listening to you guys talk back and forth, but it was fantastic. So look, very quickly, love what you guys are doing. Always a pleasure listening to Koro talk, and the passion just oozes out of it. So I can just echo, very much looking forward to seeing you guys IRL. But
For
great
sure,
stuff,
man.
great
For
stuff.
sure. For sure. I'm trying to see. I'm talking with the team now. Which conferences we will be hitting, and I'm trying to get Dudley also involved.
Yeah, I'm so bummed I go with you. It was like, yeah, I felt the fall so much, so I had to escape into the cover and just like made it super cool and stuff. But yeah, next time totally we're gonna
Man, imagine like you did such an amazing cover and you weren't there. Imagine if you were there. I mean, like you
Yeah.
encapsulated the whole thing. It was lines everywhere and people moving from spot to spot. Pompidou, Grand Palais, croissant, joint, food,
But I
Oh, I'm
party.
envious.
station work somewhere in the corner, take cover while partying. So I need to learn that skill.
Yeah, it was great, and yeah, definitely we have to keep those punk meetings going, and in every event, and it's creating something even more meta. I'm very, very excited for the future. I am more bullish than ever on punks and like on everything NFT, man. After I saw the enthusiasm, people flew for fucking hours to get there. That wouldn't
That's
happen
great,
like
right?
2 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
It's super exciting.
Thank you,
So,
guys.
yeah.
I love it.
You are both like our Redline subscriber. Just like a heads up, you are receiving your NFTs, but they are ending in your hidden tab. So just like unhide it because
okay.
it's kind of spam OpenSea filter. I don't know how to solve it. But yeah, we're sending your gadgets basically right after we drop straight to your wallet.
Okay, cool.
So sometimes you get token ID 1, sometimes check your token IDs because like it doesn't really matter. You cannot see it on the title, but just for
Yeah,
cool. That's fantastic.
Basically, the first one minted are going to you, so just it's in a hidden tab.
But it goes on hidden tab because OpenSea sees it like airdrop, but it is our delivery system. But guys, we were crying when we saw that we sold 2 Red Lion subs, and you came in. We were like, oh my god, we were like at our deepest, darkest hour. We were like, we sold 0, nobody cares, and then you guys bought, and we were like, oh my god, I was like teary,
Well, like it's great stuff. I mean, it's we love it. Love the work you guys are doing, and it's great stuff. And we want to continue to make sure that we support the things that are pushing the right story, the right narrative, and that are, again, is work that we love. I like I told you, I have to. London Hard Fork is that London Fork is one of my absolute favorite things. I mean, it's completely brilliant. It's brilliant. You guys are beautiful stuff. So please keep it up.
We will do the physicals now for the gallery, Dudley.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that.
We will do this one. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I will invite you. I will invite you again later on this year. Check with you where you are in life, what you're spending your time in the future, and also definitely we will have a space with Metas Nomadic very soon. Now that we started chatting with you, it will be much easier to schedule it. So thank you all for joining, for listening to us. It's been an absolute honor to have these wonderful people, these wonderful punks chatting with us. We just launched the new Gazette, Le Q in Paris, 0.015 for this historical NFT, and it goes with an amazing art drop by Tenebrini this week. Again, thanks everyone for listening to us. We are going live again in a few hours with another PunksTalk because we are back with a vengeance and we have Backseat with us.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
By the way, you said the old last year price, but it's okay. It's much cheaper than you said.
0.015, right?
Dollars fixed.
Yeah, it's $25 translated to ETH anyway.
Awesome. Go check it out.
Fantastic. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too, guys. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.